Hello, everyone. Welcome to my very first podcast, Entrepreneurs and Small Business Owners, the podcast. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Alfred Lloyd. Alfred Lloyd is an administrator with Houston Independent School District. He is a principal over at Bel Air High School, our old alma mater. And I've been knowing Alfred Lloyd for 30 plus years. So it's been a long time. Alfred and I will sit down and talk about his campaign. He is running for school board for Pearland ISD position number 7. So we're going to sit down and talk about school safety. We're going to talk about administration. We're just going to talk about a host of things. Sit down and check us out. And here we go.
From the Lagerman Creative Studios, this is Entrepreneurs and Small Business Owners, the podcast.
My name is Ingo Lagerman, and in this podcast, I'll be sitting and chatting with entrepreneurs and business owners, success stories, and maybe some not so successful stories that they learned from. Let's go. Sitting here with Alfred Lloyd, a good friend of mine, good colleague. We've been knowing each other for, 30 plus years?
30 plus.
Man, it's been a long time, boys. It's weird when you say it like that. You're like, man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, man. It brings back a lot of memories, but
yeah,
I think we were just talking about how many male friends you can count on one hand that's still around.
Absolutely, man.
Or you're in the same circles. And
yes,
still
indeed.
Tight.
Right. That's right, man. Yeah, we're very fortunate, man, because so many people have come and gone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I'm proud of you, bro, to see all the good things you're doing and the things you're attempting to do, man, and anything I can do, to help you progress and move along the way, man. I'm a resource for you.
Yes, sir. And I want to thank you for this podcast.
Yeah.
I think this is an awesome tool to network. I think it's awesome to give different people a venue,
right?
A space to work in, a creative space to work in.
Yes.
And get a message out. And it lives on forever, man.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for inviting me out today to your studios, beautiful studio.
Yeah.
And I look forward to working with you more in this studio.
This is cool, man.
Yes,
absolutely. We're going to do it, man. And I was thinking about, your campaign and things like that the other day, and I jotted down a couple of notes. I had to get them out of my head first. And I was like, okay, I want to ask him this. I want to ask him this. If you pardon me for a second, I'm going to look at my notes here. Like one of the things I wanted to ask, man, is how did you become the administrator at the school we graduated from, Bel Air High School? How did that turn about?
I have no clue. When I think about it, I still think about the days that we would make up rap songs on
on the bus
768 running kind of late. Yeah, we had that about 15-mile track to Bel Air High School from Old Spanish Trail.
Right,
and those were some very good memories. And then once you got to the school, the success, the systems that they used to help everybody were very successful for us.
Absolutely.
And I just went on from there. But to be a principal, you need to be certified through the state of Texas.
All right.
Also, you need a master's degree. So I finished from Concordia University with a master's degree.
Yeah.
But before that, I started off as an auto shop teacher.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
23 years ago.
Wow, man.
And you remember we were in auto shop.
We're in Mr. Hanlon's class.
Mr. Hanlon's class.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Hanlon.
Yeah, over at Bel Air High School. I had a very good auto shop there. And Ingo, we didn't have much growing up.
Right.
My parents divorced when I was 4.
Yeah.
And so we were struggling for a long time.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car until high school, until I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Mom didn't have a car until 14 years old.
Didn't know that.
And so public transportation, friends, and one of the things I looked at doing was like, man, if we ever get a car, someone in the family needs to know how to fix that car because it wasn't going to be a brand new car. So that drove me to Bel Air High School to take the auto mechanics class. And from there, I played football.
Yeah.
And was in shop class. And I said, I think I'm going to I'm going to make it in football.
Yeah.
Be a famous football player.
Right.
And if I don't, my backup plan was to work on cars.
Yeah, man. Yeah, which you did very well.
Well, you don't see Lloyd name in the NFL.
I hear you, man. Yeah.
But that doesn't stop me from putting Lloyd on my own shirt.
Right.
Because I did receive some success in owning my own shop and working in the automotive field.
Yeah.
And so that's just been a blessing from that. I actually wind up selling that shop and going back to school.
Yeah.
I started going back to school at 38 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
So I didn't have a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
I started Texas Southern University, taking business classes over there.
Right.
And then I went on to the College of Biblical Studies.
Okay.
Received my first.
Now, who'd you do that through? The College of Biblical Studies. Yeah.
So that is I did a study of biblical counseling.
Okay.
And that's a program that's offered by the College of Biblical Studies here in Houston, Texas.
All right.
And so from that point, I went on to Concordia University to study education.
Right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this: at 38, and this is what I want people to hear. This is the whole gist of this podcast, is to help people say, you know what, there's some things I've been wanting to do. I need to go ahead and do this. And that's what's inspiring about it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you to be on here. Number one, you're a friend of mine. I've been knowing you a long time. But that's pretty inspirational, man, that you said, you know what, I need to take it a step further. I'm ready to do that at this point. And at 38, what was the thing that made you say, you know what, I'm ready to take it a step further?
I again worked as an auto shop teacher at Wheatley High School.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
my first student that I met was 21 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, what is going on? Because I was 23.
Okay.
But I didn't look at him as he had failed. Mm-hmm. I looked at what systems failed him.
Yeah, man.
And I didn't blame him at all. I just looked at myself and said, what am I going to do to give him everything I have to elevate him?
Right.
And so that sparked my passion in education.
Yeah.
Later on, I developed relationship with industries, Metro, City of Houston, and we developed programs called Grow Your Own.
Okay.
So we would grow students with internships at the senior level, which will allow them to graduate and have a job or go to college.
Right.
I would take kids out on college trips and, go watch them enroll, do the enrollment. We'd walk to campuses. And I would think to myself, I was like, man, I never really had that college experience.
Right.
Here I am, I'm sending all these kids off to college, telling them that they can do it, yada, yada, yada. But I never had my college degree. And so a lot of people, that may be listening were like, well, how were you able to teach in a public school with no degree?
Yeah.
It was called workforce. So if you're part of trade and industry, because you have that certification,
I remember,
in your industry,
certain amount of experience,
you can train as an instructor. But to transfer over, I would need academics.
Okay. So
at 38 years old and owning my own shop, I was at a crossroads. What do? I can't do both. It was too hard to run a shop and continue to teach.
Okay.
So I had to look at myself and say, what's important in my life right now? I wanted to run the shop, but I looked back at my family and where we came from, and no one had secured a 4-year degree.
Right.
And so something inside of me said, go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
And I enrolled Texas Southern University, business classes at 38 years old, and struggled. I was like, wow, it's really hard going back to school.
Yeah.
But I went back to Barbara Jordan High School where I was working at the time. I was struggling with math. And I just told one of the math teachers, I was like, hey, man, I'm struggling with this college algebra. Mr. Murray was like, don't worry about it. Come in after school to my tutorials.
Yeah.
And and I'll help you out.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you want me sitting there with those little kids? He
Right,
said,
yeah.
Don't worry about it. Half the teachers came back after school doing the same thing.
Yeah, I want to come in with them.
Exactly. And man, let me tell you something. It was quite the experience to sit there with the kids. And one thing about education, age is timeless.
Yeah.
As I was sitting in the chairs with those kids, we all wanted one thing. We wanted to learn.
Right.
And that made the difference. And that's why I commend quality, effective, educated teachers.
Yeah.
That love and have passion for teaching students.
Is that what sparked it for you? Was that moment right there?
That sparked it right there. Going back and getting my education. That was to make the decision to go back to be the first to graduate with a college degree was one. The second one was seeing other students graduating graduating high school and going off to college and me not having that finished experience.
Yeah.
And so those two combined just put it in my heart just to finish it. It was not going to make me any more money getting the degree.
Right.
I would make no extra money doing it. It was just an accomplishment that I wanted.
Just as you can check that off your list.
Check that box off.
Right.
And so that was the spark right there. And it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But I could tell you I really enjoyed the journey.
Yeah.
The experience. Changing schools was more of an internal calling to get more of a biblical background at that time of what I was seeking in life.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I changed, because the Texas Southern Business School is awesome.
Yeah.
It taught me everything I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at 38. Now moving forward, I was done. Hey, I had my mission accomplished.
Right.
I have my degree. I can say I'm the first person to graduate in my family with a degree. The Lloyds are secure.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so you can check that off your list.
Check that off
man.
my box.
Yeah. And I love that story, man, because it shows people that, the perseverance, and you're like, you know what? This is something that I want to do for myself. And I love that, man. I have some things on my list too that I have, to check off. I've checked off a few of them. There's some other things that cross them out. I don't want to do that one anymore. But as as we grow older, we evolve and things change. And I have some things on my list too, man. That's a pretty inspirational story. And to anybody out there listening, and it's never too late. It's an accomplishment. It's definitely an accomplishment. So,
and I can say, even with that accomplishment, education grows inside of you.
Right.
I was still yearning to grow.
Yeah.
But I was like, Lord, this was so much. I was, having a family.
Just to have that thirst for knowledge.
Right. And having a full-time job. And
right. That's tough.
It's tough to do all the work. But once you made that accomplishment, once you completed it, it was like exciting, like finishing a race.
Man.
And I said, Lord, you know what? As a matter of fact, what happened was I received an email from the school secretary about a master's program. And so when I opened the email, I was like, Lord, I'm not going to get my master's. I can still remember calling my brother now.
Wait, this is not good enough?
I know.
I do something else?
Yeah, I did not seek to get a master's degree. I want to be upfront about that. Once I finished my bachelor's, that check was off.
Yeah.
I did not seek to continue education. The email came through. I read it, and I was like, Lord, I don't want to do a master's program. The bachelor's program, nearly killed me.
Right. That
my
was
age.
taxing. Yeah.
And I said, by the time I finish, I'd be 40 years old. And I called my brother, and I said, hey, man, what do you think about this?
Right.
I said, I have an opportunity to go back and get my master's degree, but I'm going to be 40 years old getting a master's degree. Mm-hmm. And he said, can you repeat that for me? I said, sure. I'll be 40 years old getting a master's degree. He said, say it one more time. Okay, I got it. I'll be a 40-year-old man with a master's degree.
Right.
And right then and there,
Ding.
it said, Go for it.
Yeah.
But I said I wasn't done. I was like, okay, Lord, I'm negotiating with God now.
Right.
I was like, man, I ain't going unless the school is 1 day a week.
Right.
And it's got to be close to either my home or it's got to be close to work. So I was like, I know he can't fix this one right here. With a master's degree, not going to happen.
Yeah.
They had an interest meeting, and the interest meeting was 3 miles away from our work.
All right. Okay.
And then they said all the classes will be held here.
That's a sign.
And then they said it's 1 day a week. Cohort.
Yeah.
I had to sign up.
Got to.
I mean,
that's what you asked for.
That's what I asked for.
You put it out there.
I put it out there.
Yeah, man.
And so the rest is history from there. And I achieved the master's degree in education administration.
Yeah.
And similar, the rest is history. So that's a story, and then the rest was basically applying for different jobs.
Yeah.
Never thinking that I would be principal at the same school that we graduated from. It's surreal.
Yeah.
To be watching football games, basketball games, walking through the same halls that we
almost feeling like time has stood still.
Every day it seems like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like, where's that graffiti I wrote on the wall here? There it is, way up there. It's still there.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this too, because your political aspirations, man, running for Pearland School Board. Now, what brought that about?
So what brought running for school board about was the work that I had to do to receive my master's degree.
Okay.
I entered into HISD's leadership program. So you have to shoot a video of yourself, submit it, a couple of rounds you have to go through. And I'm like, man, this thing is tough.
Yeah.
Trying to become a principal. But I was accepted into the leadership program. And upon completing the leadership program, I met one of the assistant superintendents.
Okay.
His name was Mark Bedell. And I really aspired to be like Mark. You know, he was a awesome, strong, kind of like Joe Clark type of guy.
Yeah.
You know, he really liked to fix schools. And I was like, man, I want to be like him, man.
Yeah.
I'm simply going to walk up to him and ask him, you know, how can I be like Mike?
Now, where was he? What school was he at?
So the SSO is over certain areas of HISD.
Okay.
So you may have a north area, south area, northeast area. Mm-hmm. So they're area superintendents.
Okay.
Mark came into the building one day. I saw him leaving. I was like, this is my opportunity. I'm going to catch up to him and just, boom, get him. So I said, hey, Mark, look, I'm in this leadership program. I aspire to be a principal. Could you give me any advice? He said, you want some advice? I was like, yeah. It's like, go inside the community. If you want to know anything about what's going on at these schools, go listen to the community and go listen to the people.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we have about 10 town hall meetings that are happening just to listen to the community. And I'm thinking to myself, no problem. I'll do it.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got in my car, set my schedule, packed my bags. First school was Sterling.
Okay.
Sterling and Worthing.
All right.
Town hall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just taking notes, and there were some fireworks, but I was okay with it. Mm-hmm. I was really there to listen to what the community wanted.
Right.
The district had change that was occurring, and so the notes that I took basically said that there were powers that be that were not listening to what the will of the people wanted for their children.
Okay.
But it was more of a consensus of the board. The board wanted to rearrange these schools for what they wanted, but didn't really take into consideration what the public wanted. So the public, in my notes that I took, they wanted more auto shops. They wanted more career-oriented programs because those programs were being taken out of their schools.
They wanted to teach them some skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I understand wanting to put AP classes and upper level classes, GT classes in there.
Right.
But I believe the public was saying no one has done the work to elevate that level of child or put the resources of money to elevate that on our campus.
Okay.
But you're taking out what's working and putting in something that hasn't been researched that works.
Right.
So with that, I just took those notes and I was like, okay, that was good. And man, I went home and I was like, okay, I'm done with the research. I learned a lot. I learned what to do as a principal, to listen to the community, to help try to design my schools to best represent what the community wants, and use research-based information to drive instruction, or to drive our career and technology program. So I'm ready to go.
Right.
So I live in Pearland. It's not Houston.
Okay.
In Pearland is a growing city. We quickly went from 60,000 to 100,000 people. Now we're at 130,000 people. And the school system is just blowing up. And you think nothing is wrong. You're like, everything's perfect out here, because mostly
it's new. Yeah.
Everything is new.
Yeah.
So what could be wrong?
Right.
I've lived there for 12 years and would have never thought to ever go to a school board meeting. Because we're always comparing ourselves with the largest school system.
Okay.
Pearland has maybe 22 schools, and HISD will have over 220 schools.
Wow.
So it's easy to look at the giant and say, oh, you have one bad school. Well, when we only have 2 high schools, both those high schools in Pearland should be good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I went to the school board meeting for the first time. Man, it was like I was being interrogated. Who are you? Because I had on a suit.
Right.
I have my briefcase with me.
You from the state? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing? I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
As an African-American male walking into a place where no one looks like me.
Right.
Like, well, who is he?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Instead of being welcoming and saying, hello, how can I help you? It's the first time I'm seeing you here. Welcome to the school board.
Right.
I was like, man, something's up.
Yeah. Need some representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I took the same notes as I kind of did with the research that I did for HISD, and the same formulas of how we listen, how we take notes, how we look at what the strengths are, the weaknesses, where there's opportunity, and what's threatening the district.
Okay.
Well, once I finished my documentation, I was like, wow. Wow. We have some problems. And the biggest problems that we had was we had collectively a 7-member board that did not listen to the public.
Wow.
So it kind of echoed what was already happening in a larger school system. It happens in a smaller school district also. The community wanted more diversity. We even put diversity on our SIP, school improvement plans, district improvement plans. But in the past 10 years, we've done nothing to improve diversity for the campuses or for Pearland ISD.
Okay.
So when the opportunity came, I said, I'm going to run for office because we're not listening to the people. And so when I started putting my name on there, I'll never forget. I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to put my name out there.
Just see what happens.
See what happens. It was spring break.
Right.
And it took
when was this? What year was this? Was this last year or?
So this would have been 3 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago, I came across some information where the district was hiding information from the public. And I wasn't privy to put that information out. There's a lot that goes on when you put information out. Okay.
Right.
So I kept quiet about it. I said, but you know what? One thing I can do, I can run for office. I can run for an opportunity to make change. And put my name on there. It cost $0. I went home, got on Facebook, typed up something to everybody saying, hey, I'm running for school board. But I paused because of fear.
Okay.
I was like, wow, man.
Is it fear of the unknown or?
I believe it was fear of stepping out into the public. Even though I was a public figure as far as school was concerned, I was confident.
Right.
I know I have a degree in this.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. I know I can be a principal. I know I've been a teacher.
Yeah.
That was my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But now stepping into a political arena,
That's a different thing.
that was a different thing. I did not know what to expect. So it took me about 2 hours of just pondering, like, man, what do you say?
Right.
What do I write? What's my first post?
Yeah. Everybody's going to scrutinize everything I say.
Everything.
I gotta be calculated in the way I speak and hand gesture. Oh, look at his hand gestures.
Exactly.
He doesn't mean that what he's saying. That kind of stuff.
I think I wrote probably within those 2 hours, I probably wrote about, I don't know, 100 different paragraphs to post. Right. And I kept rewriting them. I never posted any of them.
Right.
I just simply put on there, hey, this is Al. I'm running for school board.
Right. Yeah.
And I hit post.
Yeah.
And I went to bed.
Wow.
But the next morning, I start getting hits.
Yeah.
Like a person inboxed me saying, laugh out loud, I did not know we had someone running.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this? He told me his name. He said, do you have a suit? I said, yes. He said, show up at this hotel at 10 o'clock. We're going to make space for you to do a speech.
Wow.
I was like, what?
So who is this guy? Was he a speechwriter or who is this guy?
And that's the introduction to politics.
Okay.
So you have different influencers in different communities.
Right.
And they push their particular agendas. Mm-hmm. And most of them are pretty good. They're good people. They were just happy to see that they didn't have to choose someone who's already been on the board, mm-hmm. that a newcomer was out.
Right.
And they had actually started promoting an 18-year-old kid to run for school board. So that's what the introduction to the promotion is like, hey, we have someone else that wants to run. Mm-hmm. So now I'm running, I'm an administrator, and I'm running with an 18-year-old high school kid.
Wow.
We're running together.
Wow.
And that's amazing. And once I push that button, my life has never been the same.
Wow, man. And let me ask you this, do you have any other political aspirations? Like, should you become a school board member, what's the next step after that?
Well, I could truly say to be a good politician.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to get used to. I was talking to several people, and I talked to a politician, mm-hmm. and I kept saying, I'm a high school principal. I'm a high school principal running for school board.
Yeah.
He says, no, you've stepped into the arena. You are a politician now.
You're not that anymore.
No, you have to.
Now you're this.
You're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to. This
cancels out that.
Yes. And I'm telling you, man, I think I had a budget of $400. I bought 4 T-shirts for me and my family.
Right.
I bought some business cards. I knocked on a few doors.
Yeah.
I had no clue of what to do.
Wow. And
my wife and I sat up that night, and I was like, maybe I'll get 60 votes. I didn't intend to win because I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. But after the votes came in, it was over 60. It was like 600. Wow. And then the next day it was like 1,200. Mm-hmm. And it kept going up to about 1,800. I was like, wow, man, somebody out there is listening.
And what sparked that? Were you using social media to push?
Social media and speaking to different groups.
Okay.
Different community groups.
And then having your Facebook up so they could go back and...
Having Facebook up.
Yeah. They can go and read about you and do their research. Hey, I like this guy. I like what he's saying. That kind of stuff.
I didn't win.
Yeah.
But it elevated me, mm-hmm. and what I learned from it made me sharper.
And you drew some interest.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you take a position to support the people, you really need to be at the top of your game.
Gotcha.
You really have to be that Kobe Bryant. You really need to be the Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
You have to be, what's the other guy?
Yeah, you got to come on.
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You have to be a Steph Curry, a LeBron.
Yeah.
You have to be at the top of your game. Even though it's politics, you really have to be at the top of your game because they're going to come from you from all sides.
Oh, yeah.
And we talk about media, like you said, you asked about Facebook. Mm-hmm. So my second year I ran, I was a little bit more serious. And I was serious the first time, but I didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. Then it was like political game on.
And you learned some things.
I learned some things.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to do my own website. Mm-hmm. I learned how to properly do print.
Right.
Where's the best place to go for your print material?
Right.
Research.
Yeah.
Also, this is my third year running, mm-hmm. and I've officially done a fundraiser. Okay. A wine and cheese.
That's right. That was Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And, funding your campaign is very important. So that comes along with the whole game, you know.
That's amazing, man. I just think that's pretty awesome, man. To know someone who's running for a school board, man. That's a big deal. School is the foundation, and if that foundation is not solid, then how are we going to look to the future? Where are we going? You know, and I think that's just awesome, man. You're looking to make a change and make a difference in these schools, because it's easy to say. It's almost become cliche. Someone will go, well, I just want to make a difference. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does a difference mean? A difference from what?
Right.
You know, and I don't think a lot of people, they're just spouting things that they've heard someone else say before. But, you know, me knowing you and your background and where you come from, I know you mean that.
Man, when I say I love the kids, I don't need to tell you that,
right?
But I welcome you to walk into any campus I've worked on.
Action speaks louder than words.
Ask the kids themselves, who is Mr. Lloyd?
Because kids don't lie, do they?
No,
I mean,
they tell you
they lie, but
for themselves.
You know, for themselves. But if they don't like it, they don't like it.
They don't like it.
They don't mince words.
The beauty about it is, you know, especially in a high school setting, they have feelings, they have emotions,
right?
And they'll tell you this person's not right.
Right.
I don't like this teacher for this reason.
Right.
You know,
and if they tell you that, you need to pay attention.
Need to pay attention.
You know, it's funny in our society right now. Everyone's talking about school violence, and they're talking about we need to arm the teachers and give the teachers guns. And and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so now the teachers not only have to teach, we have to worry about them knowing how to work a weapon. And I was just reading this story just the other day, and it's funny, but then it's not funny. It's from WBRC in Blount County, Alabama, where this teacher, substitute teacher, was teaching a first grade class. The guy's 74 years old, and he has his permit to carry a concealed weapon. So he carries this weapon in the school, and it accidentally goes off. He has the gun in his front pocket. It accidentally discharges, goes into the floor, busts up some tile.
Two thoughts on that. So the first thought is, you know, all schools are educational facilities.
Right.
So you want the person that's in front of your child to do that one job, to educate that child.
Exactly.
But what's been happening lately is we've been piling on job after job after job for teachers.
Right.
We've asked them to be additional counselors than teaching.
Right.
When bullying has started to take over, we've said, hey, we want you to be a bully police, you know?
Yeah.
On top of teaching.
Right.
And now with school violence with guns on campus, we're actually asking them to carry guns on top of teaching.
Be a peace officer.
Yeah. But we've never asked police officers to go in and read a book to the kids.
Right.
You know, or help out the teachers. Now, I highly respect all counselors, teachers, and those professions, but it's not their job to go in and teach.
Right.
And my question would be is it the teacher's job to go and take these other duties on without the pay? So each time we've asked teachers to do more, we've not given them additional pay.
Right.
And when something goes wrong, the first thing we want to do is fire the teacher. That's just insanity to me.
Right.
So what I would propose is, if there are additional safety things that are needed on our campus, if we need guns on our campus, we look in our budget and we hire a peace officer that's trained, T-close trained officer to carry a gun.
Right.
Put that officer on the campus.
Right.
If we need to raise taxes, put that out to the public.
Yeah.
Should we raise school taxes to put trained officers in schools?
Right.
Leave it to the public. Let them make the decision.
How important is this to you?
Exactly. But I would never leave it up to a school board to decide to allow teachers to carry guns whatsoever.
Right.
I can remember when I had my shop and people would drive in. They would have guns underneath their seat. They have guns in the trunk.
These are students?
No, I'm
teachers?
sorry. When I had my shop.
Oh, when you had your shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my personal shop.
Okay.
We work on cars, and as you're working on cars, if you have to do something electrical, you may have to go under the seat or something like that. You may see a weapon there. You check the insurance. There may be a weapon inside the glove box. If it's a water leak, you're checking the trunk. There might be weapons in the trunk.
This is Texas.
It's Texas. So, you also have to remember that we have shop classes.
Right.
So teachers can sometimes bring their cars in to get an oil change. Well, there are some campuses that have found weapons in those cars. And those teachers have since been terminated from the district for carrying those weapons.
Wow.
So there are issues. And so the other issue is theft. I want you to imagine, when we went to high school, and let me ask you this question. Has a teacher's purse ever been stolen in high school where you have 3,500 kids?
Right. Yes.
I'm just putting it out there.
And the purse is pretty large.
Purse is pretty large.
Yeah.
They lock it in their cabinet.
Right.
Yada, yada. If they go somewhere, the door's left unlocked, someone goes in there and jimmies the lock.
Yep.
And they know that purse is in there.
Right.
Well, what happens when they get a purse that we have allowed the teacher to carry a gun?
Oh, man.
That is a gun in the hands of a child.
Wow.
And we did that.
Right.
We did it.
Wow.
So that's just one thing. The second thing is just, people, things fall out of their pocket, just like you said.
Yeah.
And innocent
fall
people.
to the floor, discharge.
Fall to the floor.
Some kid gets shot.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. And we've had teachers that be attacked on different campuses. This is statewide, across the nation. Children have attacked teachers. If teachers are not trained to protect themselves and protect their firearms, they can be overpowered. Yeah. And that kid could grab a gun. Now, if that kid is already angry with the teacher and has that gun, I wouldn't like to see that
accident
scenario.
waiting to happen. Yeah.
Accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So if I had a choice to increase taxes just a little bit, I would put it up to the voters first. I'd let them make the decision. Okay. But if I had a choice to mandate that teachers carry guns, or put it to the taxpayers and say, hey, if you agree with the taxes, we will hire additional certified police officers to carry guns and walk our campus to keep them safe. Which one would I go with? I would go with a trained officer every single day.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. And a buddy of mine and I were talking about this the other day. What about metal detectors? Are people not into metal detectors, and what problem do you see would that be if they put metal detectors in schools? I've heard some people talk about that. I mean, they have them at airports. So what would be the problem with that? Is that like an invasion of privacy or something like that? Is that a privacy issue?
No, it's not a privacy issue, because in Texas, you're not mandated to send your child to a public school. Right. We're talking about educating children. You can choose to homeschool your children. You can send them to private school. You can send them to a charter school. Okay. You don't necessarily have to send them to a public school. So this gun safety thing is mostly targeted towards public schools and how we're going to use our public funds to protect students. Gotcha. So when we look at adding metal detectors,
that's an extra cost.
That's an extra cost. I would say that instead of using a metal detector, you do what our United States government does with the defense budget that they have. You look at what's called threat assessment. Okay. So you would put a system out that has a threat assessment where you're taking in information and then you're counteracting what measures to take. So instead of just saying we're just going to blanket every school with a metal detector, there are some schools that have no threats whatsoever. Oh, okay. So we need to make sure that we're spending millions of dollars effectively
in the right places.
And
not this broad stroke of every school is dangerous, so every school gets a metal detector.
Well, when I worked at Barbara Jordan High School, there were 2 instances where I had students shot. Okay. Okay. And this was within a block of the school. Wow. Okay. I would have to ask people, what would a metal detector do?
Yeah. That's a good point.
The issue that we look at now is what's called human safety. How do we keep humans safe in a public space? And so that's why I look at the threat assessment
Okay.
of the complete area. Because if the bad guy knows that you have a metal detector, he's just not going to bring it in.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
he's waiting out in the parking lot.
He's waiting in the parking lot. And I'll give you another example. So again, you have schools that have loading docks,
Right.
auto mechanics. You know, if I'm going to drive my car in for an oil change, I don't have to go through a metal detector.
That's true.
The gun is in the car.
Gun's in the car.
So
you've already gotten it in there.
I've already gotten it in there.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's why I look at what's called threat assessments of the schools.
Okay.
So what are the security measures that we need to put in place? You know, so we have security windows, security entryways, things like that.
Yeah.
When you have more officers on campus, the visibility of teachers standing at their door, with changing of the bells. Another thing is looking at dress code.
Okay.
This is a hot topic.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Is your dress code a part of your safety code? How would you address that as a parent?
Yeah. And how do you mean? Is your dress code part of your safety code? Like for instance, are you talking about like gang affiliation or that kind of stuff?
That's a good question. Let's start with just a basic school. I like high schools. Let's start with a basic high school. Most people are between the ages of 14, and some are, you know, up in the age of 19 and 20. How do you identify those kids as students?
Right.
You know, if you're an administrator, if you're a police officer, and you have a campus that may have 5,000 kids.
Right. Yeah.
Would a dress code help you identify kids for safety?
Okay.
So,
I get what you're saying.
So if you have, let's give you an example. So if you have a dress code that, and it's just uniforms, if you say you're going to have white tops and khaki bottoms,
Yeah.
you know, if someone walks in there on your campus, they get bypass all your safety measures,
Yeah.
and they don't have a visitor's pass on, you
Right.
know for a fact that
Yeah.
we can identify them.
That's a student.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one way. Another way is just every student wearing an ID badge. So that's part of your dress
Yeah.
code safety measures there.
Yeah.
And limiting certain things that are gang related, certain materials that people wear
Right.
may be gang related.
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of gangs out there that wear sport paraphernalia.
Yes.
You know, you got on the Astros cap. This guy has on a New York Knicks jersey. I mean, it's almost like you have to have a code book.
Right. I believe that if we just strengthen the focus of education,
Yeah.
making sure that we always remember that we're not trying to have a social experience in high school. That's not the highest attainment that we want.
And that's not what it's there for.
No, it's an educational
It's
facility.
Educational facility.
And if we treat it like an educational facility,
Right.
then that's the product that we're going to turn out as a highly educated person.
Right.
So we can't get wrapped up in our personal feelings about, well, I want my child to feel free. I want my child to wear, whatever colors that they want to wear.
Right.
And we make those into a fight about personal issues instead of, the education of a child.
Right. And for all the people out there, tell them how to get in touch with you. What's your social media?
Well, you can go to my website. It's www.votelloydpearland.com. That's www.VOTELLOYDPEARLAND.com. You'll be able to see what I stand for. You'll also be able to make donations to my campaign.
Nice, man. Man, this has been fantastic, man. I appreciate your time, brother.
Yes, sir.
And it's good to see you, man. And we're going to do more of this kind of stuff. So everybody check us out. Thanks for following. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs and Small Business Owners, the podcast. If you like what you hear, follow us on Instagram at ESBO_the_podcast. Also, subscribe to us on SoundCloud.